So Screen Smart contextualization in Quebec. So it's part of participation to the class project, so Coalition Linking Action in Science for Prevention. It's an initiative spearheaded by the Canadian Partnership Against Cancer and the Public Health Agency. And the objective, it's implementing programs to promote healthier living and create healthier communities. It's part of the collaborative action on childhood obesity group. It's one of the 7 participating coalitions. So to contextualize the program Screen Smart in Quebec, we are going to start that in May, June of this year. The project manager is in the room, Emmanuel Dumoulin, who's going to be managing the contextualization. We are going to first form a committee to contextualize the program to the Quebec curriculum. So we are going to ask Mr. Brother to join the committee, so he's going to be able to say to us, his experience. Elementary school teachers, physical activity teachers, a kinesiologist, and education ministry consultant. They are going to be invited to read the program and to suggest any changes to really meet the curriculum in Quebec. Also we are going to, after the adaptation of the program and to make small modification to it if needed, we are going to ask the graphic designer to look like for a logo that will represent, more the Quebec students. And after that, we are going to translate the program in French. We are going to do a pilot project early during the fall of this year, and in about 10 classes. And after the pilot project, we are going to see the suggestion, from the teachers. We are going to make modification, to the program if needed after that. The winter of 2012, we're going to diffuse the program. We're going to present it to teacher. We're going to train the teacher at first about the program. So Emmanuel is going to go in the different regions of Quebec, train the teacher about the program to be able for the teacher to implement it in the school. So if you have any question, you can always get back to me or to Emmanuel for more answers. I think it goes back to you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Francine. So one of the goals was to talk about a reduction plan for Canada, and I'm somewhat optimistic about where policymakers are going, despite the results of the last federal election. There's been a federal provincial task force which has published a paper called Curbing Childhood Obesity, and one of the major recommendations of that paper was that efforts be made to restrict the marketing of unhealthy foods and beverages to children. So this is certainly on the policymakers' radar at, I think, at a very significant level. What I think we need to do is continue to lobby policymakers regarding restricting marketing at provincial and federal level. In Quebec, there's exemplary legislation around marketing to children. Other provinces have absolutely nothing. When we go to policymakers at a provincial level in British Columbia, their retort is that this is the type of legislation that needs to be at a federal level, not a patchwork of legislation across the country. So I don't think that's just necessarily to deflect or distract us, but I think it's actually quite true. We need to promote this at a federal level and get harmonization across the country. One of our goals with Screen Smart, although it is, I think in all honesty, a very modest program. It's only 10 days, it's 15 minutes per day, but it is, if nothing else, a start. There is so little awareness amongst parents, children, and youth about the detrimental effects of screen time that I think it's very, very important to get our foot in the door, very important to let people know about the 2-hour maximum screen time rule, and then just spread that across the provinces and territories. So we have Screen Smart now. It's going to be contextualized for the First Nations and Northwest Territories, so that's one of our partners in our group. It's being contextualized and hopefully disseminated here in Quebec. In British Columbia, we have quite a bit of traction with the provincial government. The Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education is on side with us as partners, along with an existing school-based intervention called Action Schools. So we hope to roll this out to all the elementary schools in British Columbia in the next few years. Although when I say rollout, I don't want to overstate the actual impact that will have. Teachers will still have discretion as to whether or not they're going to take it up. But I think these things tend to get momentum. Part of the getting momentum is we've discussed this with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education, and one of those two ministers we think will take part in an ultimate screen challenge to kick this off in the spring. So we'll have fairly, or in the next academic year, so that'll be the fall. So we'll have fairly high level political support for this. And what we hope to do as well with further funding is to take our existing Screen Smart program and improve it. It can always be improved, but also adapt it so that it works for sort of the preschool age group, daycares as well. Middle school is very, very important, and a whole different mental framework that kids go at the problem, as well as high school. So there's lots that can be done in this area, and one of the things that this conference has inspired me to do, Jacques, is to think about having a similar conference in Vancouver with some sort of more media profile, because I think we're more fortunate here than they are in the States in being able to disseminate this information. So I'm optimistic about where we're going to go in terms of media awareness in Canada. We're at rock bottom right now with almost no awareness, and I think that there's nowhere to go but up. So thank you.
I was wondering, because kids are starting to watch TV very early in their life, is there any program targeting kids, preschoolers, or is there any, do you think it would be any relevant to have any program starting for kids like from 0 to 5 years old that are in high school?
I don't think we've really had 0 to 3 targeted, and I think absolutely. I mean, the Baby Einstein is still a problem. If you go to their website, it still looks like it's an educational program that's going to make our kids smarter. So yeah, I think it would be good, but right now 3 is when we start.
Pediatrician, something to say about this?
Sure. Well, I think that almost all the pediatric organizations across North America say no TV, no screen time before 2. Is getting that information out there that's always the hard part, and empowering parents to realize that this is really quite important not to do that. We are developing programs as well for the daycare, preschool, because sometimes that's another way for parents to get authoritative information. So they get the little pamphlet comes home from school, their child says, well, we're not supposed to have any screen time, and they can look at it. It has to be short, brief, and then parents can say, okay, hopefully they'll embrace that.
Tom has mentioned that watching together could be a good thing. Yes. I think that if Bob McKinnon would be here, he would add that if you watch with your kids or with your pupils, and for instance, the Channel 1 in the States, you have teachers watching the programs with the children, and don't react to violence, it's worse than not watching, you see, because you get kind of an official approval to what is watched. So it's good to watch with the children as long as you are ready to react. Yes. If you are not ready to react, it could play completely the other way around.
True. Good point. You agree with that?
Well, I agree 100%. And actually what surprises me is there's so much screen time now with 30 to 40% of kids waking hours on screen time that as a society we've deferred teaching moral behavior to the screen. And I think that's to everyone's detriment. So I agree, there's no point in just watching and not interjecting with our moral comments, because these things should not be taken for granted. We are the products of what we see, and that's how we learn.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jean, for the question, comment.